So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the debut of Penta L0, because that, my friends, is how you introduce a new wrestler to the casual audience. Everything about that introduction was absolutely perfect as far as I'm concerned. From the teases up to Michael Cole kind of letting on that it was the worst kept secret. I thought the music was fantastic. I thought the lighting screamed superstar. Everything they did to present Penta L0 to us made me believe. Someone who doesn't, I'll be honest with you, I don't have a bunch of AEW Penta matches burned into my brain. I don't have a lot of time in Lucha Underground watching Penta. I don't have the TNA pedigree to talk about Penta. But last night, as far as last night is concerned, WWE made me feel like Penta is something special. They made him hard for me to ignore. I thought they did an absolutely fantastic job packaging that all together. If there is one downside, if there's one downside to how good this introduction of Penta is, I think that Tony Khan is probably scrambling to find a way to lock up Phoenix to a lifetime AEW contract now. That's how good it was. Tony Khan at this point has to cringe knowing that he lets go of these superstars. He doesn't retain these superstars, and they go over to WWE, and WWE gives them or shows them exactly how you present these guys as a superstar. Listen, here's my thoughts. This is just my initial thoughts of Penta. Here's what I'm taking away from night one. At worst, Penta is going to be a ridiculously fun upper mid-card guy to watch. I think that's worst case scenario based on what I saw on Monday Night Raw. But if we're talking ceiling, we're talking what is the roof for Penta, I think he's got the potential to be that next Rey Mysterio, that cultural icon, and possibly a world champion. We do it all the time. We crown the next Mexican wrestler as the next Rey Mysterio. But I actually saw it with Penta L0. It didn't feel forced. It looks, he's in his natural element. This looks like where he wants to be. Did anybody else notice the level of excitement after Penta finished his match? To me, it's a guy who finally got called to the big leagues. We could put to rest now this argument that AEW is the equal company to WWE. Because when you see guys react the way Penta did, that shows you what the big league is, right? He was practically glowing when he grabbed the microphone. And why wouldn't he be? No longer does he have to wrestle children every week. No longer is he going to have to fight for his spot. He actually now can have well thought out production and storytelling worked into who he is. He can actually, there's a budget for merch. They can make masks. Everything just gets a little better when you get to WWE. It almost looks to me like a guy who just got out of prison, right? There's just a relief. It just looks like he made it to the Super Bowl after a career of fighting in Lucha Underground and fighting in TNA and scrapping in AEW. It looked like a guy to me who was relieved to finally get to the top level. And WWE does such a good job, like I said, of presenting this person to us, especially to casual fans like myself who aren't real familiar with Penta L0. But it goes from the camera work of WWE, like I said, the production, the lights, the music, the way Michael Cole present, everybody just puts Penta over, and it felt perfect. And you can't forget, shout out to Chad Gable, right? Because if you're talking about the perfect choice to put in the ring against Penta as his first opponent, Gable is just as, we have to give Gable the credit. He made him look like a star. And that's why I can't help but laugh at the IWC, right? Because IWC will stand on their soapbox all day, and they'll talk about match ratings and Dave Meltzer's stars and how much it matters and how much it matters to be a great professional wrestler, as they like to call it. And then you get a guy like Penta, a guy come over to WWE and you see the beginning of storytelling. You see Chad Gable put together the entertainment aspects of wrestling for him. And you ask yourself, has Penta El Zero ever been in one night as over as he is right now with all of the 5-star technical flips and those things that Dave Meltzer gave out? It took one night for WWE to introduce him to the casual wrestling world and get him more over than he's ever been. And I know that there's going to be IWC that go, well, when he was in Lucha Underground, that's not in the discussion, guys. Lucha Underground came and went because it couldn't garner the fan base, right? It's the same thing I say about AEW. You don't want those numbers dropping down. But if we're comparing AEW to WWE, give me one moment where Penta was ever more over. He's been in WWE for one day. You show me one moment where he was more over. You show me one moment where he was more happy. Look, this guy's family was in tears. And you know why? It's because it's like I've always said. WWE is the big league. He made it to the NFL after playing in the Canadian Football League and the European Football League and all of these other bullshit leagues. He finally made it to the big show.